For justice and peace and equality. Now the
All
world
right, we're
will
back.
see.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast with Change Stars a Conversation. Back with Brother Singleton, talking about dealing with Kaiser Permanente, your eye being injured. You feel like you were fit. Now let me ask you this, Brother Singleton, because I think the goal here is to establish a timeline of how things actually play, right? So the eye injury actually occurred on the job. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. At what point after you felt like the eye injury or your eye became infected, did you go to Kaiser Permanente? What was that timeline like?
Well, like I said, when this injury happened on the job in middle of 2014, I went to Kaiser that next morning,
Okay.
and my eye changed when they hit me with that night shot. I
Wow.
went blind instantly to me. I didn't see anything at the eye. My eye was hurting me worse than when I went to them.
Wow.
It was like I said, my pressure went over 300. Your
Yes, sir.
pressure not supposed to get over 20 to 20.
Okay.
That's what your eye pressure should stay at, about 20, 22. But mine went over 300.
Okay.
And I knew I couldn't see right then.
All right.
And it seemed like somebody took a building, 8-story building, and put it on top of my eye. That's
Oh,
just
wow.
how much pressure. And I was miserable. And they told me to come back the next day. And I came back and didn't see her. I couldn't understand why the person who gave me the shot, I couldn't see.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, and now you're going through, you talked about going there and coming back. How many times, like, but what made you not go to the emergency room, like, first? Did you just feel like, hey, I need to just go see the doctor? Because most people do go see the doctor. But did the eye actually feel like an emergency? Because you informed us in part one that you could actually see.
Yeah,
Oh, you-
well, you know, I'm with Kaiser. And in order to go to the emergency room, I'm going to have to go through Kaiser, then the Permanente to go to emergency room. I still could see that morning. It's just that my eye was burning me.
Okay.
I couldn't understand why she needed to give me that many shots in my eye. I couldn't understand that. You know, if it's an infection, why you got to give me 9 shots? And it seemed like if I didn't stop her at 9, she would have kept on sticking me in my eye. I don't know.
Do you feel like now after that shot occurred in your eye, you talked about going back the next day, and you talked about and you didn't see this doctor. How long did you continue to go to Kaiser Permanente before you said I need to find relief elsewhere?
Well, like I said, when I after the left eye, they sent me to Georgia Retina the next day that I reported back to them. They told me don't go home, go directly to Georgia Retina for my left eye.
Okay.
But by me going to Georgia Retina for my left eye, I started having issue with my right eye. Now they only had Georgia Retina doing my left, so I went to Kaiser and told them what's going on with my right eye. They told me my cataract needed to be removed. So now when they removed my cataract, I went blind in my right.
Wow.
And so when I went blind in my right, now I'm totally blind. I'm thinking about my vision, my health, my family, my kids, my grandkids. I'm thinking about everything I gotta, look toward doing, my job.
Okay.
So I kept going to them, and then for my right eye, she kept coming. I went back to her, I bet you 20 times back to back every day. I went home, I come back. I went home, I come back. Then she started spreading it out. I came back maybe twice a week. I kept doing this, and I finally put my foot down and said, hey, you don't know what you're doing. Send me to somebody who know what's going on. And the doctor, when I went to the Thomas Eye Group, he took less than 5 minutes to tell me that he know I can't see. Why Kaiser couldn't tell me I couldn't see?
Okay. So So who referred you to the Thomas Group?
When I told Kaiser I was not gonna let them look at my eye anymore, they sent me to the Thomas Eye Group.
Okay. Did you file any type of medical malpractice? What were you thinking at that time? How did it feel?
My whole thing was to save my eye. I was not looking at the lawsuit. Lawsuit is money, but I can't see. I got grandkids. I can't even take outside right now.
Wow.
I can't take them outside because they're not safe with me by myself.
Wow.
I don't know if a snake might bite them, a bug might bite them, they walking to the road. I can't, my grandkids would have to lead me around.
Wow.
So, that's why I'm saying when I went to reach out about a lawsuit, I had lawyers that tell me that they wish I was totally blind crawling around on the floor for my food. And I said, are you serious? Just so you can get more compensation?
Wow.
That's what they were telling me.
Wow.
And when I said lawyers, I called over 30 lawyers.
Wow. Wow.
I had one lawyer that I went to him for my right eye, and he took the case and he held it for about 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
And then he said, "No, Mr. Singleton, I don't want the case." But when I sat with him the first day, I physically sat with him, he looked at my left eye and he said, "What happened to your left eye?" And I said, they gave me a shot, not one shot, 9 shots in my left eye, and I went blind. He said, "Well, I could have got you paid for that." Then he asked me, "But when it happened?" I told him, and I said, they told me I wasn't going to lose my eye. So I don't know when does the statute of limitations starts and stop. Who determines that? I call my congressman, I call my House of Representative, I call the representative of the state of Georgia. The only people I didn't reach out to was the mayor and the governor.
Okay.
I called the district attorney in Gwinnett County. I never can get them to face to face. I had a brother to take me down there. To the senator office. You know where they met me at?
Where they met
in
you?
the lobby.
Wow.
And it wasn't the senator.
Okay.
It was the people who worked for them.
Right. And you felt betrayed, you felt taken advantage of by the medical systems of Georgia.
Yeah.
And pretty much when it comes down to it, now we talked about your left eye being infected, but you made comments about your right eye. Tell us about what happened with
Now
your
they
right eye.
told me when I had my cataract removed. This
Okay.
is what lawyers was telling me.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't know.
Correct.
Lawyers was telling me I had a 5% chance of going blind when they
Wow.
removed my cataract.
Wow.
So I said, what about the 95%?
Yes, sir.
So they told me, well, that's just a risk you took, and you can't sue the doctor for cataract removal.
Wow.
And I was blown away. But they told me, if you've been crawling around on the floor for your food, I can get you some compensation. And I was like, I'd rather have my eyes.
Yeah.
I can make money if I had my eyes.
That's right.
I have to depend on people to take me places, do certain things for me.
Right. Now, how long is this project? You mentioned this incident happened in 2014.
Middle of 2014.
Middle of 2014. We're now in 2026, so you've been suffering from being legally blind almost 12 years.
Yep, and I've been fighting this ever since I realized I lost my left eye. And
Wow.
that started in 19, the latter part of 19. And pandemic took place. That's why I was reaching out to lawyers. I said I didn't know I was going to really lose my eye until 19. Like I said, my eye started shrinking.
Okay.
And it kept shrinking. And then the Thomas Eye Group, which they didn't have anything to do with it,
Okay.
they told me, "Mr. Singleton, won't you let us remove your eye?" I said, "No, y'all trying to get rid of some evidence."
Yes, sir.
I said, "Because it's not hurting me." I said, and so I said, "Why you want to remove my eye?" He said, "Because it's shrinking." And I said, yeah, but it's not hurting me or bothering me. I said, to me, you're trying to get rid of evidence. If I let you remove my eye, then I have nothing, no recourse to go after anybody with.
So you didn't let her remove your eye?
Nope.
The Kaiser group just said that your eye was the size of a #2 pencil eraser.
The Thomas Eye Group, it
Okay.
kept saying my eye was shrinking. And that right now, if you look at my left eye, it'll look like it's closed. Maybe I'll say 80 to 90% of the time, people walk up to me and say, hey, you know your eye closed? And I just nod my head and say, yeah, you know, it'll close up on me and it'll open up sometime, but I can't see out of it.
Okay.
So the Thomas Eye Group, you know, they still treating me for my right eye because I didn't have one transplant on my right eye. I had 2.
Wow.
And I had to lay on my back
Uh-huh.
the same time this was going on with my left. So I'm like I said, I'm not thinking about lawsuit. They had to do 2 transplant on my right eye.
Okay.
And I had to lay on my back. I couldn't, if I go to the bathroom, I had to go to the bathroom, come right back on my back. If I eat, I had to eat and lay right back on my back.
Right.
When I went to bed at night, my wife would literally have to pin me down so I wouldn't roll left or right because I had to be on my back until what they call a bubble left from my right eye.
Okay. Okay.
So I didn't went through that once. I went through that twice.
Wow.
Being that you had already lost your left eye, how important was it for you to keep your right eye?
Real important because people can function with one eye.
Yes, sir.
I know another guy on the job. His injury didn't happen on the job, but he lost his eye from a mirror shattering in his face. He was driving down the road and a car slammed into his left, to the driver's side. The mirror pin, you know, he had the window open and the mirror shattered and went into his eye, and they had to remove his eye. So he's still working. If I had one eye, I could still function.
Wow.
And so is that why you didn't file a lawsuit? Because you was trying to get your right eye saved?
I was trying to get my right eye saved. And like I said, Kaiser didn't messed up one eye, they messed up 2 eyes. They messed both of my eyes.
Okay. Okay.
And then you telling me I cannot file a lawsuit for cataract removal with a 5% chance of going blind?
Wow.
But why did you take 8 months for you to realize that you couldn't save the eye? Now, if Kaiser might have found out what, like I said, when I went to the Thomas Eye Group, he found out in 5 minutes that I couldn't see. He said, because I can't see in. Why Kaiser couldn't tell me this?
Wow.
I mean, it's like this doctor, he changed my life by giving me the little vision I got back. But I'm under the federal law, I am still condemned legally blind.
So you can't do the normal functions.
No, I can't drive.
Man.
I can't drive. I couldn't work no more. I was forced out. I was forced out of work. Then I had to go on disability until I reached the age of 60, and then they put me on retirement. Kaiser didn't even come to me and say, you don't have to pay any more for any visit here. I still pay. I gotta pay out of my disability and my retirement, my Kaiser coverage. I gotta pay for office visit every time I go to office visit.
And you still go to Kaiser?
I still go to Kaiser for my health, not the eye.
Okay.
I don't go to them, but in order for me to go through Kaiser, to go to the eye doctor that I go to, I gotta get referral. They gotta give me a referral instead of say, Mr. Singleton, you don't even have to call back for a referral. You just keep going to that doctor. I gotta call every 6 months or to a year to get a referral to go to the Thomas Eye Group.
Now, many African American men have stigma about going to the doctor, about even just for a regular checkup. You know, what effect do you think this? With what happened to you, how do you think this affect men who look like you feel about going to the doctor when they get an emergency, like that type of situation? Like, how hard is it for you to trust a doctor now?
I had not only males, I had females tell me, said, I don't trust doctors.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't trust them. Because you got to be truthful.
Correct.
I was an electrician. If I mess up something, I got to be truthful to the customer. So if a doctor tell you the truth, like I said, I got Kaiser. I had Kaiser since the '80s, the latter part of the '80s.
Okay.
I was a Kaiser Permanente member.
Okay.
And I have some good Kaiser doctors. They're all not bad. I had a Kaiser doctor recently that he left Kaiser, and when I went to him, that's the first time I saw him, and I said, he kept talking to me, and I was so upset because my regular doctor, I had just got out the hospital, and when I went to them, they sent me to somebody else, and I'm like, why am I seeing this guy?
Yes.
So he kept talking to me, and I wouldn't respond. And then he kind of hit the nerve. He said, Mr. Singleton, what's going on with your left eye?
Yes, sir.
And I said, that just like triggered something in me. And I said, one of your colleagues messed me up. And he said, what? He said, did they make you whole? And I said, what do you mean by making me whole? He said, they didn't compensate you for your left eye. I said, they didn't offer me a quarter.
Wow.
I said, they gave me nothing. He said, well, I see why you are upset and you're angry. I said, I'm not angry. I just hate that people try to get over.
Okay.
And he said, well, I'll tell you like this, and I'll leave it. He said, there are some good doctors and there are some bad doctors.
Wow.
That came from his mouth. But he's no longer with Kaiser.
Okay.
He said there's some good doctors and there's some bad doctors.
Now that we have the information out there, Brother Singleton, tell us what can the community do to help you moving forward? What's the call to action to move forward and really get some restoration and redemption behind this matter?
Well, I can go on and on with my story, and sometimes it makes me a little frustrated, especially when people keep asking me about it. But I tell them, especially when I hear people talk about certain eye injury. But it's so bad that the government. I'm gonna give you an answer. I like to fish.
Okay.
I like to fish. So I looked online and I saw about getting a fishing license if you're blind.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor signed off, gave all the documents and paperwork to the state.
Okay.
Now they said blind. Now the doctor, like I said, I am legally blind under the federal law.
Right.
I applied for that fishing license. And do you know they denied me?
Wow.
Because I said, so I called back and I asked him, I said, you have all the document from the doctor. Why did you deny me a fishing license? He said, because you're not totally blind. I said, are you serious?
Wow.
Now, I had a friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
He's passed away now. He had a blind friend that just wanted to go and keep him company while he was fishing.
Uh-huh.
This guy was totally blind.
Wow.
And he was standing out there with this,
Mm-hmm.
conversation with the guy while he was fishing. And he made the comment to him. He said, he called him Deep. He said, Deep, you got another fishing line? He said, sure. He said, let me see how one feel. Let me show you how the state work now. And the state said that the game warden was sitting off watching them fishing.
Mm-hmm.
the guy, Deke gave the other guy the fishing line. He just was feeling it. Never put it in the water. Never touched the water. Never touched the water. Never even asked to put a bait or anything on the line. And the game warden finally walked up and said, "Hey guys, how y'all doing?"
Right, right.
And they said, "We're doing all right. Catching anything?" He said, "No." So he said, "Let me see your fishing license." And the guy, the other guy who was fishing, he gave him his license. And the blind guy said, "I'm not fishing. I just feel in the line." He said, "Well, I need your fishing license. You got the line in your hand." And I was like, he gave that guy a $200 ticket
Wow.
for not having a fishing license.
Wow.
They went to court, and the judge told that game warden, "Are you serious? You gave this man a ticket, and he told you he was blind and he was not fishing."
Yeah.
He gave him a ticket.
Wow. Wow.
So see, that's what I'm saying. It seemed like every time I make one step forward, it looks like I get pushed back 5.
Correct.
Because I had a lady from the federal government call me. And I usually don't pick up the phone if people call me and I don't know their number.
Okay.
So she called me and I happened to pick up the phone that day. I said, "Hello," and I just be quiet because some people be scamming. So I said, she said, "Can I speak to Mr. Singleton?" I said, "This is Mr. Singleton." And she said, "My name is Janice." She said, "I'm with the federal government for the blind."
Yes, sir.
And I said, she said, "Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?" So I said, "Sure." She started asking me questions, and she got to the point, she said, "Are you getting any compensation for being blind?" I said, "No." I said, "That's Social Security." She said, "This don't have anything to do with Social Security." She said, "You should get X amount of dollars for being blind." I jumped through all the hoops that the federal government sent me through. They redeemed me blind. After that, I sent the paperwork in. They denied me. And I asked them why, and they told me that I got disability from my job, and you can't get the blind. I was like, "Are you serious?" I went, I jumped back through that hoop maybe twice more, and they kept denying me. And like I said, every time I walk one step forward, I get pushed back 5.
But you're not getting any disability like through Social Security.
No. Social Security didn't. They kept telling me I ain't paid to it in the last 10 years. And I'm I said, "But I paid into it." And see, when people tell you things, they can't give you things in black and white for you to read and know this is across the table.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
Instead of give you information. If I said, let me speak to your supervisor. I don't know if they're giving me a supervisor. Might give me the next door desk person.
Yeah.
So you don't know.
You don't know exactly.
But if you get something in black and white and they said this is across the board, hey, then you can say, well, this is in black and white. But people deny you. People tell you things, and then you find out years down the road it's not true.
Brother Singleton, we want to, I know we're running over time, but we want to thank you for taking the time. We're definitely going to have to do a part 2 of this and do a follow-up for this. And your story is phenomenal. And I mean, the story is, it definitely is not just phenomenal, it's disturbing, to see people in the medical field, in the workforce in Georgia, not prioritizing individuals who've been impacted by what we call, accident, and it's the fact that this is not a short-term suffering. This is a suffering where you can't play with your grandkids like you want to. You can't fish like you want to, and just simply have a quality of life. Thank you for taking the time out to come share your story, Brother Singleton. We look forward to sharing it on our network. Want to give a huge shout out to the Dr. Terrence Foster, pain doctor, on Eagles Landing Country Club, and talking and partnering with him in our partnership. We definitely want to make some connections in this story and make sure that that lawmakers and elected officials and people who make decisions are aware of the malpractice that's going on right here in Georgia. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversations. Guys, stay tuned.
Justice and peace and equality. Now the world they will see.